Good evening, everyone. Hello from Malta. I can see a lot of people online. We are going to start the presentation with a very, very short introduction about BETES, about the project, what the project is all about. Today we have the first session, and it's going to be all about soft skills. And after this very short presentation, I will introduce today's trainer. So we will start without further ado, okay? So BETES is an acronym for Bootcamps for Emerging Technologies and Essential Skills. So the word bootcamps in itself, you would know that the course is very condensed. It is made up of 5 sessions, but we are very, very intense. So this is an introduction to the project. Okay, so what is BETES? BETES has been funded under Erasmus Plus in 2022, and it is a small-scale partnership, and it is merging the soft skills together with hard skills. I always say that hard skills get you a job, but soft skills helps you retain it, because hard skills are skills that any robot could do, as you will know in the other sessions. Our Cypriot partners and the Greeks will talk to you about robotics and about AV and AR, but soft skills is what makes you retain the job. So we are going to start these sessions with the soft skills presentation. The objectives of the project, we did a research of the current trends of soft skills and hard skills technology in the 3 countries. And then according to the results, we created this short curriculum, which we are calling bootcamps, because we are we took 5 particular skills and topics that the people wanted to learn more about. And we are doing this in the form of a bootcamp, as I said, and this is the first session. These are the 3 partners of the project. So we have the coordinators, which are ECET, which are from Cyprus, and their competencies is in technology, as you can see. They are a non-profit organization, and they will be delivering the modules about robotics. Then there is SkillsZone, which is us in Malta. SkillsZone, our area of expertise is in soft skills. So we teach subjects such as entrepreneurship, helping startups, communication skills, leadership, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking. And obviously, we are in charge of today's module because that is our area. And then we have Digital Idea. Digital Idea is a scientific association from Greece, from Larissa, and they represent higher education, so university graduates. And they are professionals and established in application diffusion of new technologies in education, health, culture, environment, and any other human activities. So that is a very short intro about the partners. I encourage you to go on the BETES website, where you can link as well to our different websites, and you will learn more about us. So this is us. These are the teams in our various meetings. In fact, we had the kickoff meeting, which was online because we were in the middle of COVID. So we didn't get to meet face-to-face. So we did do that first meeting online. But then we had a chance in last July to go to Cyprus, and we met face-to-face. I know both George and Elias from previous projects. We worked together. So this is not our first project. And I think our competencies are very, very complementary. This is our approach. So what we did, first we did the research in the 3 countries. And then with we analyzed the feedback that we got, and we had a lot of animated discussions, and we came up with these subjects. And to be very honest, I mean, okay, tonight it is my area of expertise, but for the other sessions, I am going to be a learner as well. because I have no idea about robotics and I have no idea about AV and AR. So I am looking very forward to learn about it. And obviously to give then, after the sessions are over, we will ask you for your feedback, because we want your feedback to make the sessions more interesting. Whatever you will see this evening and in the next sessions, you will find on an e-learning platform. So all you need is register. Obviously, everything is free of charge. You will find the materials there. You can go through them at your own pace. After each session, Dagmara will send us a QR code, which you can do with your phone, answer a few questions, and if you do the course, you even get a certificate. The ones from Malta, obviously, I can give you a printed certificate, but you will get it soft copy as well through email. But we will make a nice certificate for you. But that would be at the end of the 5 sessions, and the certificate can be used even on your CV. So this was the questionnaire that we had sent to academia, industry stakeholders in both Cyprus, Greece, and Malta. Then we had the report. Obviously, we gathered all the info, and it was quite interesting because, especially for Cyprus and Malta, that we have the same problems. Maybe we are small islands, but we had very, very, very similar problems. And people wanted similar subjects. So it wasn't very hard, to target what subjects we're going to focus on. And these are the subjects that we are going to focus on. So today we are going to do the soft skills session. The part 2, which is the next session, they were scheduled for December, but then we realized that December, everybody, is in holiday mode. So we shifted everything to January and February. So in January and February, we will have data analytics, augmented and virtual reality, Internet of Things, and robotics and artificial intelligence. All emerging technologies, all very interesting. As I said, from part 2 onwards, I will be sitting there with you, and learning, because I need to know as well the latest technologies. So those will be our 5 sessions. It's going to be hybrid. So obviously, when we are in Malta, like we are today, we have the physical presence, but you cannot see it. But there are a lot of people online. And obviously, when Cyprus do the workshops, they will be physically and we will be online. Obviously, confirmation of participation will be upon completion of the bootcamp. And then, as I said, you will get a certificate for the successful. It's a very short quiz to show that you have understood what the trainer was saying. Each participant should complete a feedback. This is nothing to do with the certificate, but we need you to fill in a very short Google form, which is a feedback form, to tell us what we can do to make it better. It's quite straightforward. And this is the platform. So the platform, like if you go, that is the link, obviously, www.learn.betesproject.eu. So if you go with the QR code with the phone, you will go directly to that platform. You need to register, just put in your, see if it works, Joe. Mm-hmm. And you will find all the educational material over there, and also the quiz for the certificate. Okay, it's working. Okay, we tried it with a phone here, and the QR code is working. So I suggest that even yourself, to try it, and obviously go into our website. And obviously, for more information, you can go to our Facebook page, website, and there is also the project Gmail, and there is the Cyprus telephone number. But for the locals, I can give them my telephone number and they can contact me. And I think that is all about the introduction of the project, and because we have a very, very full session, I'm going, without further ado, stop presenting and ask Steve to present his presentation. So you see how many people are online? Can someone tell us that they can see the screen, okay?
Speakers are off. Speakers are off.
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
they're connected to your computer. They're connected to your computer, I think.
Ah, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, because you need. Of course, they are still seeing mine. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Better.
But we have to do it from the first page.
Yes.
Okay, can you see the screen? Please, somebody from the audience?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, they are saying yes.
Good. Yeah. No, actually. It's very interesting.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So, welcome again. Today, by the end of this session, we hope that we will be clear about leadership and its importance. Now, there are various types of leadership, and some people might think leadership belongs to the corporate world. No, sir, leadership is everywhere. Leadership is in families, leadership is in groups, leadership is everywhere. Okay, so we will be clear about the importance of leadership and the role of leadership in any organization. This is why we say organization and not company. I am speaking a bit fast because we do have a lot of material to cover. And we will also, by the end of today's session, determine what makes good leadership and agree about the traits of leadership that we dislike. What I like to say, the ones we love to hate. Okay. Also, in the last part, we will be speaking about communication, and we have some valuable communication skills to share. Right. So we're going to have this session today in 3 parts. Actually, the first part in itself is divided in 2. We will be speaking about human nature, which is that which is common in every human being, because at the end of the day, if you are going to be leading humans, you need to understand humans. We'll also be talking about a very interesting subject, which is personality types. Then in part 2, we will move to actual leadership, and part 3, the language of leadership, which is communication. So now we have part 1, and we shall be looking at the human being. The human being is a social animal. The human being is also a technological animal. And if you think that's just a cartoon, think again. These things do happen. Okay, so it could be a question of bad leadership, I don't know, but we're talking about the human being in various aspects. The human being is the loving animal. These are the people you will be leading. And also the angry animal. Human being tends to be a bit of a problem sometimes when we're leading. Humans they are in need of belonging, in need of direction, and in need of leadership. So we need to be, in a group. This is part of our human nature, as we shall be seeing. But humans are not the only animals that need leadership, as we have lots of experience, lots of examples. Leadership is not exclusive to us. But although leadership is very important in the animal kingdom, today we shall be focusing on leadership of human beings. My question to you, why is leadership important in the animal kingdom? What does leadership provide in the animal? We are animals at the end of the day.
Safety.
Safety.
Yes.
Yes, because humans yearn for survival. So leadership provides safety. But having said this, the lion still kills the antelope. So safety to a degree, of course, but maybe a greater chance of safety. Okay. The thing is that we do even have people who lead like lions, aggressive. This is not the sort of leadership we shall be looking at. This much depends on personality, as we shall see. So our concern today is with leading people, the human being. Let's have a short look at the human being. So we are programmed in many, many ways. So you will be conscious that we have our brain is the physical part. Like if we have other screens that show us, the brain is our hardware, if you like a computer. You'll see the screen in a minute. But then there's the mind, which is the software. Okay, so we are programmed. Now, the human being has a programming which makes us practically all the same. We have the same programming at the base. Okay. But then, on top of that, we have what we call personality, which is another form of programming or conditioning, which depends on the environment, and this is influenced by our beliefs and values. So, let me give you two analogies. Imagine these pots full of compost. At the base, we're all pots and we all have compost. So we are very, 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 very similar at the base, at the very basis, except for genetics. We are different pots, if you like, different shapes, different sizes, different colors, but we all have the same internal, the same compost. That is similar to our human nature. But then there is the environment. So when you are born into this world, all babies come into this world programmed the same. When they want something, they cry. Okay? The programming is all the same. Yes, there is a variation. Why do I say genetics? Because some people are born with a difference in their brain makeup. Like, for example, there are people who are less afraid than others. Okay? So those people who are less afraid, their what we call their amygdala works differently. So in some ways we are predisposed. Sometimes you see two babies, one is a happy baby and the other one cries a lot. Okay? So there is a little difference in their human nature. But as they develop, as they grow, personality kicks in. Personality is all the rest. Personality is what comes later. Second analogy, as I said, is the computer. We all know that there is the hardware, which is plastic, metal, and silicon. On its own, pretty worthless. Except then it has, where you see B over there, its operating system, which is human nature. So when you buy a computer, it comes pre-programmed to understand the environment. And then there is the software that you apply to it. You could have Office, you could have graphics, you could have music. That is your individual personality. Okay, we have the environment and culture. All these things make us different. Okay? Now, human nature. How would you, in your own words, how would you describe what is human nature? Can you tell me in your own words, what is human nature?
A living thing, or whatever.
Hungry for knowledge.
Sorry?
Hungry for knowledge.
Hungry for knowledge. So human nature it's part of human nature. It is part. And how would you describe human nature? So if I told you we all have human nature. When we are hungry, we need to eat because we need to survive. Okay? So what is human nature?
Survive.
Yeah. Would you agree that it is similar to instinct? Something we are born with?
Human needs.
I think we have someone raising their hands.
So
Can we maybe unmute him? Jaya, I see someone, Jaya,
it's
with their hands raised.
muted on their side, maybe?
I think Dagmara, can you please unmute him so that he can speak?
So far, we're looking at partly animal instinct, while our colleague comes in, and partly animal and partly something that's specific to our human condition. Okay, so our nature, so I will calling it human nature, is not just animal nature; it's human nature. Okay, so although it's very similar to animal nature, it's not exactly the same. Is it possible for them to participate?
I'm trying to.
Okay. So, because of time, I'm continuing, but once we get in, don't worry, we'll backtrack a little bit. Okay. So, if I had to put it in very simple words, human nature is kind of the basic characteristics of the human being. Like it's the character of humanity. Okay? Humanity is different from lions, for example. Okay? Why? We have a different character, so to speak. Okay? Like, for example, why do cats love boxes? Does anyone have cats besides? Cats all love boxes. How is it possible? If you have a paper on a table, a cat will go and sit right in the middle. What makes them do that? I think
Center of attraction.
yes, but do you think that it's part of the DNA?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's written in the DNA. No one taught them how to do this. It's their nature. Okay? So we are going to be looking at human nature because if you want to become a farmer, you need to learn about farming, about the vegetable, the weather, the soil, everything, right? So we're going to be dealing with humans. We definitely need to learn a bit more about humans because human nature and our personality, our values and our beliefs are at the basis of all our decisions in life, okay? So here we have on screen, you can see that that's probably a vintage engine room of some old ship. And as you can see in the bottom, so the ship's engine, or if you like, even the engineer, keeps the ship in operation. We have a conscious mind where we reason, and we have a subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is like your engineer. It keeps your body going. Everything that is automatic in your body, your subconscious takes care of that. That is part of human nature. Okay? One of your basic needs is to survive. So most basic needs. So if you are deprived of air, you will fight for it. Okay? So this is our very trusty, if you like, very trusty engineer or maintenance manager. There is a problem, however. There is a problem when instead of let's say, the CEO of our existence, of our brain, of our mind also, which is the conscious mind, taking charge, when we are under stress, the subconscious takes charge. And the subconscious is a really great, it's an awesome servant, but an awful master. So we shall be seeing how the subconscious serves us, how people are automatic, and a lot of leaders know this, and sometimes they manipulate people, crowds, if you like, okay? Because they understand that a lot of our actions are subconscious. So, human nature, it reflects specific needs. What kind of needs? You mentioned already survival needs, social grouping, development needs. Does this remind us of something? Survival, belonging, social needs, and development. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In business, a lot is said about it. Let's have a short look. So we have the triangle here. At the very base, the first three, let's say the first two levels, okay, are the most basic. Physiologically, in order to survive, what does your body need most?
Air.
Air. Very often we forget that. We say food, no, air first. Water second, food third, okay? And there are other needs. For example, if we do not sleep after a certain amount of time, our brain starts to break down. If we do not go to the toilet after a number of days, our body becomes toxic. Okay, so this is all a need for survival. Now, what about when it's too hot, too cold, raining? Shelter. Or predators. We don't have tigers chasing us nowadays, but we do have humans. Okay, so we still need safety and security. There's also the sense of belonging, which is very, very important. If you don't belong to any group, you start getting depression. So it's very important that we have sort of a social network. And this is where leaders will help us by providing this. So in the first two rounds, we're seeing self-preservation. In the second one, it's grouping. And then after you have gained the stability of the first three rounds, come self-esteem and self-actualization. So a person who does not have the basic physiological, if a person doesn't have like where to live, will not make it to chairman of the board, because you need to go up round by round. This is like a ladder, okay? So the nature of humans, what we're calling human nature, is involuntary. You have no control over it. And it is the same in everybody, okay? Now, from our cave dwelling days to today, from primitive man to technological man, we have come a long way, except there is a part of our physical brain, the physical, now I'm not talking about the mind, inside your head there is a brain. The basis, the core of this brain is the same as it was when we were still primitive. So we have like 3 levels of our brain. As you can see there, you have first that salmon. I would say pink, but for the sake of ladies, that's not pink, that's salmon, right? Or apricot as well. So that's called the brain stem. It's part of our spine, and a lot of wires are going down and coming back up. Brain to body and body to brain. So if you're touching a shard of glass, you pull back. Why? Because the message goes from your senses here, the feeling senses, to your brain in a split second and back down to the rest of your body, okay? So first comes the reptilian brain. Has nothing to do with reptiles. It's only called the reptilian brain in colloquial terms because the anthropologists want to remind us that we are not much different from the rest of the animals, the most kind of brainless, besides the jellyfish, and some people will know. So basically, this part of the brain is responsible for everything that is automatic. Your heartbeat, right now, your nails are growing. Right now, my hair is falling. Okay? Right now, although I'm not realizing it, my subconscious and my reptilian brain are taking care of everything for me. But that part of the brain, although it keeps us alive, it's also sometimes responsible for our stress. The second part, the green part, is an extension of it. It's called the limbic system. That's very, very important. That's where your fear center lies. The amygdala is your fear center. So Mother Nature, when you were born, gave you a gift, the gift of fear. There are people who are born with a sub-functioning amygdala. Amygdala is like an almond, we have two of them, like almond sized. And it controls our fear. If you are not afraid, you will die in one day. You're not afraid. Okay? So fear is there to keep us safe. But fear is also what causes stress in us. So why is this important? When we are speaking to people, when we are leading people, we need to know that sometimes the way we speak makes them afraid. Now, this amygdala is responsible for the fight, flight, or freeze. Three we have, not fight or flight only. There's freeze. Sometimes, for example, we speak to our children in a very stern voice, and the child freezes. And what are we doing? We are destroying their self-esteem for when they grow up. Would I want someone to take advantage of my child when they grow up? No. So why am I destroying their self-esteem? Hand on heart, I think most of us, myself included, are responsible for having been too tough on our children. So please be careful. That limbic system, it holds your emotions and it holds the memory of those emotions. Short-term memory, which is later transferred to long-term. Then we have the new part of our brain, the one on the outside. Notice that in human beings, the modern brain is large. In a whale, it's tiny. So the whale's brain is bigger than a human, much bigger. But their modern brain, tiny, if at all. Okay, so what distinguishes us from the rest of the animal kingdom is what we call the neocortex. There, we have reasoning, we have a lot of things, right? But especially reasoning. We can make plans, we know about concepts, we know about mathematics. The reptilian brain, or let me call it the subconscious mind, if you like, does not question. So I'm going to ask you for a small favor. I want you not to think of a yellow Volkswagen Beetle. There is no monkey on top of the Volkswagen Beetle. The monkey is not wearing a green sweater, and the monkey is not wearing a red hat. And we're supposed to not see it. It's not possible. For your subconscious mind to understand what I said, it needs to see it first. Yes, the subconscious does not understand the word no. Okay? So when we speak to people, instead of me telling you that something is difficult, it's better if I tell you that it is not easy. Isn't it the same? Not easy, difficult. It means the same, but the effect on the brain is not the same. If I say something is difficult, your brain will visualize a difficult situation. If I say it's not easy, your brain will visualize an easy situation and then realize, it's not easy. So always, because the brain doesn't understand not, go for not easy, okay? Not difficult. So, more on human nature. All of this is at a subconscious level. So we have no control over it, but mostly when we are stressed, okay? When we are stressed, our subconscious takes over. When does stress happen? When is a human being stressed? In the old days, it used to be when your life was in danger. When are you stressed now? What causes stress?
Overwork.
Overwork. The work itself does not stress you. It's when you worry about you're not going to make it on time.
Targets.
Targets. But there are people who don't give two hoots about targets. The boss says you have to get it done by Tuesday, and they go out, and Tuesday comes and they're not done. That's their character. They really don't care. So what stresses me might not stress them. So it's the way our brain reacts to our environment. Okay? So leaders need to know this. Not to put too much stress on people, but a little stress is good. Not too much. Now, we don't have life-threatening situations, but imagine this. You're at your desk and your colleague says, the boss needs to see you now. Stress, instant stress. Why? The amygdala says, oh my God, what have I done? What's wrong? And then you go to the boss's office and he says, listen, I have a project. I think you're the right person for it. Can you help me with it? And then we relax, okay? But to keep us safe, our amygdala first stresses us. But that lasts a few seconds. Sometimes we say 6 seconds. Thereafter, your CEO, the conscious mind, needs to take over. When you are stressed, you break down, okay? Now, this I mentioned already. In order to understand the world, you need to visualize. So if I told you something like a word like promptitude, have you ever used the word promptitude? Never. I had never used it until I came across it. But without looking up its meaning, promptitude.
You focus on prompt.
On prompt. So you understand it because you know part of it.
Yeah.
You relate it. What does the mind do? The mind checks if you already have experience of it, about it. And if you don't, the mind will then figure out, invent, guess. The mind does a lot of guesswork. So why is this important? It is important because the mind tells you stories. Sometimes they're not true, those stories. Sometimes those stories will hurt. Okay? So the stories we tell ourselves, like, I am not good enough, we actually believe those stories. Or, I am good enough. Okay? So it's just as easy to believe I'm not good enough or I am good enough. But this depends a lot on our upbringing. So when we are talking to our children, our employees, the other people in our groups, okay, let us be very careful what we are kind of helping them, what stories we're helping them to create. Some of these stories, as I'm saying, are false. Now, we do have a video that I'm going to skip. We actually believe what we think that we are hearing or seeing. You think you saw something and you saw wrongly. You think you hear something and you actually did not hear that. So, we're not going to watch this video. Excuse me? Okay. We're not going to watch that. That video is called the McGurk effect. Let me explain it to you because of technology today, you decided to skip it. When your technology class comes up, perhaps then we'll learn how to put it on live. Now, in that case, we see the man saying, ba, 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 look at my lips, ba, ba, ba. And then he says fa, 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 fa. And the video tells you the sound did not change. You are only hearing ba, like ba, ba, black sheep. But because you see the lips going fa, you hear fa. When you close your eyes, it becomes ba. This is mind. That's why I wanted to show you this movie, because it's mind-blowing. This guy has been the face of the promotion of the McGurk effect for 20 years. It still tricks your mind. Okay, so if you want, we can send you a link. You'll find it on YouTube. Please watch it. What this teaches us is this, that what you hear is not always true. So for example, let me give you a small trick, communication trick. So for example, if I want to invite you for a party, or maybe I have a job for you, and I think you're the right person to do this job. Do you notice that I'm nodding my head as I'm saying it?
Yes.
When I'm nodding my head, my voice is speaking to your ears and to your conscious mind. My head is speaking to your subconscious mind.
Ah.
And there is a big disposition, it's not guaranteed, that you would agree. Because your subconscious mind is seeing this. And it is kind of ready to accept. Okay? It doesn't work 100%, but what you see overrides what you hear. Small story. Once I went with my wife to collect an airline ticket in the days of airline tickets.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's internet. And we went to the office in Alitalia, Slema, and my wife spoke to the lady, and the lady answered us. Immediately, my brain got a shock. My brain got like when your computer freezes, it crashes. My brain crashed. It really felt so bad. I excused myself and I went out. So imagine, Donald?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine I'm seeing Donald, hearing Mary Rose's voice. You know, it was like a scene from The Exorcist. You see a little girl with the devil's voice. No. I'm seeing this woman whom I had never seen in my life, but I'm hearing my friend Tanya. Exact voice, intonation, everything. But she's not Tanya, so my brain was seeing something else, hearing Tanya. I just couldn't take it. Went outside, phoned Tanya and said, Tanya, do you have a sister who works for Alitalia? She said, yes, in Slema. They don't look alike at all, much like you don't look alike. So my visual overrode my auditory. So where the auditory was, I was consciously hearing her, having seen something else, it overrode, and it really affected what I was seeing, okay, and what I was hearing. Now, what we feel also affects what we understand and what we remember, because if something happens and during that something there is a huge emotion that's happening to you, for example, someone is communicating with you but fighting, shouting, that is going to be imprinted in your memory. Okay? It affects what you understand at the time. You might freeze and not understand correctly, or you might remember it for a very long time. It can become traumatic. Now, what about the stories that we tell ourselves? We create stories. We believe those stories and we live them. So be very careful. Very often, for example, friends of mine right now, two separate friends. One friend is diagnosed with cancer. The other one has a child who's diagnosed with cancer. They know their situation and they were coping with it until they both had a doctor's visit. One today and one 2 days ago. And hearing the news again, they're now back to being weak. Until now, they were being strong. We have to be very careful, because what is in our face is the story we will continue to tell ourselves. And if we continue to tell ourselves that we are weak, then how are we going to fight at our best? So please be careful what stories we tell ourselves. We need to understand that is a basic human need. We need to understand, and if we can't figure it out rationally, if we can't really understand, then we start to justify. So, for example, this is what we call cognitive dissonance. Imagine I have a belief. I love sports. Okay, so you like to cycle. Okay, do you smoke? No. What if you did smoke? That goes against your passion in life. Your passion is cycling. Smoking would be a habit. They go one against the other. Someone could be like very, how do you say, the need for good nutrition. Another scenario could be I might have political beliefs for party A, but I also am very religious. Let's call it party B. Party A wants abortion, but I am also religious. I can't accept abortion. That causes the brain freeze that I mentioned earlier. We have a dissonance, a fight in our brain between one belief that's 10 out of 10 and one belief that's also 10 out of 10. What do we do as humans? We justify one of them. In the case of the smoker says, you have to die sometime. In the case of the conflicting beliefs, one would say, you know what, it's coming in anyway. So we justify one of them. This is part of human nature, and politicians take advantage of that. Politicians know that people will justify one of them. Okay? So I have to move on a little faster now. The human mind hates uncertainty. Uncertainty causes stress. Uncertainty causes stress. And stress makes you weak. And when you're weak, your immune system is bad and you get disease. So, biases, we're not going to talk much about biases. We all know, right, what a bias is. When you are biased in favor of someone or against someone. Now, your mind constantly tells you lies. Can you please distribute these? Keep one each. And there should be more than enough there. So, one very important bias is called the confirmation bias. We need one from Maria. The confirmation bias. We humans, everyone suffers from confirmation bias. Let me explain what it is. The confirmation bias works as follows. We look for evidence. Okay, we look for evidence that supports our beliefs. We ignore the evidence that goes against our beliefs. So right now we're watching news about 2 wars going on. We actually look for the news that makes us feel good and avoid the one that makes us feel bad. That's the confirmation bias. We look for evidence that supports our beliefs, existing beliefs. We ignore the evidence that contradicts. Why are they not seeing it? It's in their face. The truth is in their face, and they won't see it. And we also interpret the same evidence according to what suits us. That's one of the biases. It's the most common and the strongest. There's another bias. Other people are biased, but I'm not. Okay, it's the bias. and there you have 50 of them. They're not all important. Not all common biases, but it's worth noting. So one of the biases that we have is called the halo effect. You have to be very careful. As humans, when you see someone, let me give you an example here. So we have, you see someone, a receptionist, who is confident. Because confidence is a positive, you assume more positives. Confident, she must be intelligent. She must also be a nice person. Doesn't follow, but we jump into conclusions without looking for the right evidence, the physical evidence. In fact, here is a proverb that some of us know: one swallow doesn't make a spring. Sometimes, and again, I'm telling you this because some speakers, some leaders will take one example and say, you see, they are all the same. Okay? For example, if you have in the media a crime committed by one person from a minority, we blame the whole minority. One swallow does not make a spring, because that one swallow might be out of season, and then the rain comes. Okay? So, yeah, this is so important. So important. People don't like to be wrong. What do they not like even more? So you don't like to be wrong.
To be told that they are wrong.
To be told that you are wrong. It's much worse. Please don't tell someone you're wrong. You could say, yes,
There may be a better way.
there's a different way.
Or different.
Okay, now we have to be very careful about the words we use. We shall see this in the communication part, because the way we put it, first of all, the tone of voice we use. Now, notice I started with yes. That is a trick that we in hypnotherapy, which I'm part of, we have these verbal tricks. This is called the agreement frame. So tell me that the sky is green. Have you ever seen a green sky? I've never seen. I would say yes, which is a lie, and don't say but. Yes, and it can also be purple. It can also be orange sometimes. I've seen the sky when it was really dark blue. I've even seen a yellow sky. I never saw a green sky. And sometimes it's black at night. What have I said? I have said yes, and it's called pacing and leading. I agree with you, and I will tell you how not to agree now. I agree with you, or I don't disagree with you, and then I move you to what I believe is true. And I say, but generally the sky, more often than not, I would say is blue. But I don't start by contradicting you. People don't like to be contradicted, okay? So if you are in customer service, you don't say, I agree. No, sir, because your boss will have you applying for a new job. You say, I see your point. I'm nodding again. I see your point, okay? I see where you're coming from. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying that. So you start by not disagreeing. That's why I prefer, technically it's called the agreement frame. This is how we are taught. But I like to say it's the non-disagreement frame, okay? That's one way of not telling people that they are fools, okay? That they are stupid, maybe. Just say, like, you could plainly disagree, but please tell me that you disagree with what I'm saying. Don't say, I disagree with you. Say, I don't quite agree. You notice what I've done here?
Yeah.
Instead of disagree, I don't agree. I use the not. I don't agree
With what
that
you're saying.
argument.
Exactly.
Or with that point of view. You know what's interesting about a point of view? It's a point. It's not the whole truth. Not the whole view. Okay? So So they don't like to be told that they're wrong. Listen, can I have two people act this out very quickly, please? Who's going to be the girl so I can be the other voice? Okay? Would you like, please, to? Okay, so I tell you something and you say,
Okay, that's just your point.
okay, no, it's a fact.
Well, I disagree.
It's actually a scientific fact.
What?
Wait, before you wait.
Whatever.
Whatever. Okay? And then in your mind you're thinking, what an idiot. Why am I an idiot? Because I contradict you. Because I'm showing that you're wrong. What's wrong here? We have an ego. People don't like to be told that they're wrong. So when we are leading, when we're leading, we don't necessarily please people. There are times when we will not please people. That's part of a good leader and a strong one. You don't need to agree with me if I am following you, okay? But on the other hand, don't make me feel like a peanut, right? Nobody wants to be made to feel small. So, not only do people not like to be wrong, actually they like to be right. Okay, so this is another twist. Give me credit. Okay, so yeah, there I'm just saying that we justify when we're wrong, we just look up excuses. But here are three phrases on how to give me credit. Okay, so for example, you were right last week. Who doesn't like to be told that their advice or their opinion was the correct one? You were right last week about the weather. I wish I took your advice. I got soaked. Okay? So that is a way of making people like you. Okay? I agree with what you're saying. Nowadays I find myself saying it a lot. Another thing I'm finding myself saying, because unless you put the training into use, into practice, then you are, to know stuff is not enough. You have to actually put it into practice. So for example, sometimes you say something, after a while I say something a little different, but I say, as you said before, I start with something you said, and then I twist it to what I need to make a point of. But I have to say, like, yeah, as you said, as you pointed before, I am using your own words, okay, but making another point. But because I say something like, you're right, what you said before, that's correct. Already our communication is better, okay? We are agreeing, and people like being acknowledged, okay? I should have listened to you, right? Now, people like to feel useful. They like to be helpful. So, something like, by the way, your advice, okay, I wish I listened to your advice about my mother-in-law. I wish I listened, because, my goodness. Actually, let me just say, this is very interesting. Once when I was younger, I was married, a boss told me, never agree with your wife if she is blaming her mother for something. I heard him, but it didn't register. And once, I hope my wife would not see this recording. Huh? I am otherwise a dead man. And she said something like, because my mother this and my mother that. And I said, that's true. And she said, and what about your mother?
Boom, boom.
What about my mother? My mother is not part of this conversation. So now I've learned, and I've used it for sales as well. I defend the other person. And I say, come on, she's not young. Maybe.
She's a little bit old. And
Now, let me tell you how this can be used in sales, for example. I go to a client, and this happened. I go to a client, and the client, I've been to the same client and never made a sale until one day he was complaining that his supplier, I was in freight forwarding, cheated him. He overcharged him. And I said, oh, wait a minute, let's not rush. Because there are situations where, notice what I'm saying now, where they might have been right. Now, I am contradicting him on purpose. Maybe you asked for a price of one chair and now you're buying two. No, he said. He was getting more and more angry. I was defending the guy I wanted to beat, but making it very plain that, I was defending, it's like I'm his defense lawyer, but I'm not making a good case. Or maybe, I was giving him a number of maybes, and the guy was really getting angry and telling me more and more against the other person. Never, ever knock your competition. Don't agree with her about her mother, unless she's praising her. And then at the end, I said, well, then I don't know. Then I suppose you're right. Okay, and before I left, I had the business before I left. But people don't like to be told that they're wrong. So when I said, not that he was wrong, that maybe, okay, it was a bit of a nasty trick. Look at this one. So for example, the boss is speaking to Jane. He's the boss because he's got his glasses. The minute I do this, you all disappear. Okay? So, you were right to suggest that I wait a bit longer, Jane. Wow. Thinking, huh? Wow. Did I really? Well, okay, then good for me. So, give them credit. The worst boss is a boss. That's where the word bossy comes from, okay? If you want to be a leader, don't be bossy. And don't take the credit. Even if you did it yourself, give the credit to the people who helped you, okay? Give them credit. If you could do everything alone, you wouldn't need people. The fact that you have people, even the fact that you have a family, even the fact that you have friends, means you can't do it alone. Now, a bit of advice. People secretly hope that you will agree with them. I'm going to give you a little word of advice. Now, I'm going to put my life coach hat on. Listen to this. People will only tell you, if you are a leader, as much as they think you should know in order to agree with them. They will not tell you the whole story. They will just tell you their part of the story. Don't jump into conclusions. You might not have enough information. Okay, people have this sense of importance. People like to feel respected. They like to be treated well. Okay, let's be careful, please. If you're leaving for the day, say thank you. Okay, whether they leave before you or you leave last, always say thank you. We have to skip these now. Okay, can you see the lions? Can you see the lions in this picture?
No.
Why?
Can't find one.
The expression on the faces of the giraffes will lead you to look where the lions are, probably.
Are there lions? There are no lions.
Exactly.
Why? Because giraffes don't hang out with lions.
So,
They don't make friends with lions. Giraffes are not stupid, Mind you, I've seen a video, a giraffe can run very fast and can trample a lion. Can trample it. It's strong enough to kill the lion, but if it's just one lion and the lion falls, the giraffe is bigger than a horse. It's like 2.5 horses. So giraffes don't hang out with lions. Why? We look for what's familiar. Yes. We humans and all animals prefer their own kind. Cats hang out with cats. Yes, you could have a cat and a dog at home, but then they become family, they become semi-humans. So we hang out with the people who feel familiar, okay? So not only do people associate with people who are like them, so for example, you are in Peking in China, in the airport, and you hear your language here, you hear Maltese, you hear Serbian, our friends. Immediately, your ears prop up. In China, I'm hearing my language. And, people from my country. Okay? And you may even have a conversation with them. And you may even go on the plane. Maybe they're sitting not far from you. And for the duration of the flight, you are friends because you have something in common. Leaders bring us together by showing us what we have in common. The minute we go through the airport, now I don't like them anymore because now everyone has that. You know, now I'm in my country, everyone speaks my language, and so people who are your friends tend to be people of your background, generally, of your religious convictions, of your political beliefs. You know, people who generally are in your level of education or maybe your level of finances economically. We prefer people who are like us. In fact, we have a rule in rapport building. Rapport is like when you build trust, which goes like this. It's very simple to remember. People who are like each other, like each other.
Okay, something in common.
Yes. If we are like each other, then we like each other. If we are very different, we will have problems because their ethnicity is not like ours. So what happens? We become defensive. Why? Because that is part of the animal nature. Okay?
We create tribes.
Yes. And in fact, not only we create tribes. Can you see those little birds? And that looks like a woodpecker.
As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly. And the ones that are not of the same feather are the enemy. Now, sometimes we act irrationally. So why am I saying this? We have to be careful not to be the leader who preaches like separation. Preaches extreme nationalism, extreme, right wing. We don't want foreigners because they are all bad. Okay, all Mexicans are X, Y, Z, said one president. Okay, that's absolutely not true. You can't have all people being the same. You could say all people are human. Yes. So the brain loves repetition very much because it creates neural pathways, and this is where we form habits. Now I'm just going to shift because we need to go to another presentation and run through it, which is about personality. Let me see. Okay. Now, as soon as I manage to find nature. Come on, please. Okay. So.
Am I still the red?
Sorry?
Am I still the red?
Yes. You are a red, but that's not a bad thing. Now, is it showing?
Yes.
But can they see
Let me
it?
see.
Because I don't think I'm sharing.
No, you have to share it.
Let me see. Never share. Start sharing.
Present. Present. There's that.
Present now.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Is it showing
Yellow.
now for them?
No, not yet.
Not showing yet.
Did you click the present now, the arrow?
Click it, yes. No. Window presents now.
Letters have to check.
Yeah. Window. Okay.
Which one is this one?
Yes. I think you need to
Oh, شافنا على technical.
Oh, sure.
Are you technical?
And he wants to share it on Zoom.
Okay, so we have to share.
Here, this one, no, the entire screen. Let's see, that one. We have to turn off actually the
Zoom call, right?
from I have to start from the Zoom call to present.
No, yes, actually, and there was the present now, and I pressed it, and then I chose the slide.
And share, yeah. You see?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. My apologies, guys. We should be seeing this now?
Yes.
Okay, so a few questions. What's your type?
Virgo.
Who's a Virgo? You're a Virgo. Any other Virgos? No Virgos?
No.
Pisces. Any Pisces? 2 Pisces. Okay.
Libra. I'm Libra. Yeah.
Aquarian. So, according to the magazine Astrology, Pisces, Aquarius, Cancer, water signs, you should be friends. They will be similar. Now, what does it mean to be a Libra? Can you describe to me a Libra?
That means,
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
that means to be charmed, to be confident, to be communicative, to love people, and to understand them. That means to be Libra.
All positives you gave. You didn't give me one. You don't have that.
Oh my God.
In my next life, I will be a Libra.
Please.
No, but the Aquarians are very creative.
Aquarians are creative. You know, it is a lot of UWL, right? This is something we enjoy classifying ourselves. So are we saying there are 12 types of people in the world?
I'm Sagittarius.
How would you describe a Sagittarian? You like
Fire.
Fire.
No.
Throwing arrows.
Okay, so we like to associate ourselves with certain. Now,
We don't get
how many? Not types? How many different personalities exist?
Each person is an individual.
If you consider we're all individual, let me see. When I went on this clock, actually I'm not going to risk it now. On the 26th of November, this is the population clock. 8 billion 75 million 239,669 people. And when you go on the clock, you actually see it going up. Okay? So, for example, in I think 2 days, it went up by, if I'm not mistaken, 100,000. It's constantly going up. That is the amount of personalities that exist. How can we manage people, not manage people, how can we lead people, how can we deal with people with 8 billion personalities? So what do we need to do? We need to categorize. Okay, so in this part 2 of part 1, we're going to look at personality types. Now there are various personality types. These are among the 4 most common. The DISC model, which is my personal favorite, the Enneagram, it's perhaps a little bit more complicated. The Myers-Briggs is very popular, probably the most popular, but a little the same. They're all useful, but the big 5 is the only one that is scientific. We're not going to look at the big 5. We're going to look at the DISC model. The DISC model is very simple. You will realize what sort of personality you have, and you will also understand what other people's personality probably is. So, let's see. First of all, this is what I call the me map. Every person has different roles in life. So, for example, this is me. I am a parent. I am also a husband, so I'm a partner. I am also a son, although my parents are dead, but I am a son. So when they were living, my role as a son was different from my role as a parent. I have a sister, so I'm a sibling. I have a career. And this is where we mostly focus. When we talk of personality, I would ask people, when you're leading, generally you're leading either a group, you might be leading in the family, but very often we lead in a company. There are different levels of leadership. You don't need to be the chief executive. You could be at this level and still have people whom you lead. Okay? So, for example, everybody can be a leader, but not everybody wants to be a leader. Okay? So, I have a group of friends. So, in that sort of role, I am a different person. I have my private self. Very few people will know that, the people I choose to show myself to. And I am also a community member. Now, there are three things that are different. These three things are different in every role. Your level of authority is different. As a parent, your level of authority is where? High, medium, or low?
Depending on the child. If they're young, high. If they're-
Absolutely. So, even in that role, your level of authority changed over the years. So right now, Mary Rose's level of authority is down here. Because her child is no longer a child. And so what? But your level of authority as a parent generally is high. Your level of responsibility, the same. You have one child, Mary Rose?
Yes.
So since your child is now older, your level of responsibility has gone down.
No. Because I'm a mother.
Yeah, but we
Yes,
need
it's
to
true.
understand that we don't need to carry too much responsibility if not necessary. So the minute we start letting go and letting them make mistakes, that is an obligation that we have, to let them make mistakes. It's one of the hardest things in your care. Okay? So level of
To learn
authority.
from their mistakes.
Level of authority is one thing, the level of responsibility is another, and the level of confidence is another. So, why is this important? Because if you are lacking confidence, so I am naturally a shy person. I am a very shy person. If I am in a room and I've met you for the first time, generally, especially if there are more people than here, I would be somewhere in the corner looking at my phone, making believe that I am on a call or something, because I'm a shy person. But because I know how to manipulate that, I think back of my work persona where I was managing director. And I put on the mask. Persona is Latin and Greek for mask, theater mask. I put on my mask the persona I want to project, and I no longer am shy. Because in my role as managing director, I am not shy. My role as managing director, I am a warrior. I am there to help my people, I'm there to protect them, I am there for a role. So, you know, I put on, it's like an actor taking on the character. But we, although we are actors, all those roles are real. So, when we are talking different roles, our personality changes. Okay, so for example, when you're with your friends, you have one type of personality. You could be a joker. When you're with your friends, you could be the joker. When you are at work, when you are at work, what happened is that she came late and she didn't switch off her phone. Okay. All right, so moving on to the desk. Yes?
If we talk about different roles, we change our personality, you told.
Your personality shifts, yes,
Okay.
in different roles.
Okay, thank you.
So why does it shift? So for example, confidence is one of the things that changes. So confidence is part of your personality. You could be confident
In one thing and not in another.
So for example, let me give you an example.
The environment.
Of course.
Yes.
So in one of my workshops, I had this man who worked for a remote. And he was a very shy person. And when I had to call him, we were just from the table, and he wouldn't even participate in a group like this. So I said, Tony, describe yourself when you're in a group. He said, when I'm in a group, and he spoke obviously because he was addressed, he said, I generally sit at the very back and I never speak. Why, Tony, don't you speak? I don't need the answer. I know the answer. When I'm in a group, I seldom speak. You know, when there's a group of 200, am I going to stand up? Some people do it. They like to be the center, in the spotlight. A lot of people don't like it because there our basic persona comes out. That is a moment of stress. So, and Tony said, because, you know, I hear so many people speaking and I'm thinking to myself, they have nothing to say and yet they like to just show off. I said, okay, now that's one part of his persona. So what have I done? I shifted to his other persona. I knew he worked for Air Malta and I came from the cargo section myself. So I said, Tony, if I come to the airport and you are supervising your team, loading cargo or baggage, and I don't like how you're doing your job. He is in charge of a team. And this was his answer. All of a sudden, he became James Bond. He looked at me, he didn't say a word, but I could hear the words. His body was talking. I said, why? What do you mean? You mean I can't tell you how to do your job? And he did this. He went to the other side, and I could hear that it was time for him to stop talking, because his powerful persona came out. Competence gives you confidence. Okay, so when you are good at what you do, then you have confidence. So if you need confidence, remember which persona you have your confidence in and put that mask on. So when we talk about the DISC model, I need to remind you, stick to one persona, because otherwise you're going to tell me, I am this and I am that. Decide which one. Are you going to decide yourself at work, yourself as a friend, yourself in the family? Decide which persona you're going to judge, because you're going to judge yourself and then other people. So, questions like, am I reserved or am I outgoing? Would you consider yourself reserved or outgoing?
I was going to tell you in between.
It
Depends which
one.
because sometimes you have to be on the reserved side. And
But
sometimes,
what is natural for you?
outgoing, I suppose.
Natural is outgoing.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Who else is outgoing?
Yeah, we would say.
Of course you're already. Outgoing, okay. Outgoing. So, I am reserved. Those who did not raise their hands tend to be reserved. Is that enough? Is that enough to say that you are introverted or extroverted?
No,
Not enough.
definitely no.
Let me explain introversion and extroversion another way. Look, generally, people who are outgoing are extroverted. But I am like 70% introvert. I still like people a lot. But when I'm talking about me, same applies to you. When I am drained after a hard day's work, the way I recharge my battery, where do I plug in my phone? Where do I plug in my energy? Alone
By
or with
yourself.
one or two people? There are people, the ones who are extroverts, they need other people and they get energized the more people there are. I get drained. So as an analogy, if I were a delivery man, because I am an introvert, I leave home full of energy, and wherever I go, I leave my parcels behind. I come back home with an empty van. I leave my energy everywhere. The extrovert generally leaves home with few parcels and collects a lot of energy wherever they go. Okay? That's another way to decide whether you're introverted or not. And no one is a total introvert or total extrovert because it varies. Okay. So, are you impatient or are you a composed sort of person?
Again, depends on the
Composed.
situation.
At work.
At work. No, more composed at work.
At work you're more composed. Okay. So if, for example, someone is telling you something and they're taking a little long telling you,
Something like that.
But I try not to show it.
but it's there. It's there.
Yes.
I'm now assuming you are read from, because I think I know quite a bit about you. So I'm assuming that, but being a red is not good or bad. There is no good or bad. We're going to be describing 4 types of main personalities, and every one of us would have a bit of the others as well. Okay? So.
But it will be like predominant, I think.
Yes. So in fact, there are 4 colors there, because we will call them quadrants. Which one is my dominant quadrant? My number 1, my number 2, maybe my number 3. Rarely do I have a number 4, because 2 of them, look, these 2
are opposites.
They will have different behavior, and they don't like each other's behavior. And this as well. But if I am a red, I could be a high red, which means I'm very, very much in that personality. So for example, I am 70% more or less green. I am, I would say, let me say 60% green, 30% blue, and maybe 10% yellow. Am I not red? Sometimes I am, when there's an emergency. And I will explain why.
Yeah.
But now, how is it possible for me from green to shift to red? You will see the character traits. They are opposites. If I have an emergency, I switch to red. I don't care. I really don't care to be a green. Let's come to that in a minute. Am I competitive or collaborative? Do you want to advance? Do you really are always looking for new challenges?
Yes.
You're looking for challenges. And Laura, sorry, Lydia, looking for challenges.
Yes.
Especially at work.
Especially at work. And is life cycle a challenge for you?
Yes, definitely.
So is it what made you do that, perhaps? Because you could cycle here. You decided to do it.
There's not that much space, but yes, having a goal and working towards achieving something is what gives you the kicks.
That's it. And you're going to see it in the next slide, that puts you, it ticks one of the characteristics. Okay, so some people are more competitive. You don't need to be extremely. You could have a tendency to be competitive or let it go. For example, I would tend to be the green. The green says, I prefer there to be harmony than tension. But sometimes tension is needed. When you're leading a team, sometimes you need to create the tension. Okay? So for example, you tell me, this needs to be done by Thursday noon. My God, that's too little. Someone gave me a week deadline. That meant I had to
Look the other side there.
I'm not mentioning names.
No.
But tension has its good part as well. Are you focused on people's well-being or more on getting the job done? So these are just to make us think. Let's move on to the quadrants. So where's this? There we go. DISC. That's why I call it this model. Now, let's see. The top 2 are task-oriented, so we will now call them by color. The blues and the reds, the Malta blues and reds will be opposites. But
They will fight.
blues and reds are both task-oriented. They get the job done. And they will make their team get the job done. So they are better managers. More. I'm generalizing, but they have the tendency to be better managers. The green and the eye and the yellow are people-oriented, so they tend to be better leaders. We manage tasks, we lead people. You don't manage people. People are not something to manage. But in the eyes of these people, people are part of the tools that are their resources. In the eyes here, if you own the company and you hire me to run it, you can be sure, don't push me for the results. So for example, I do keep deadlines, but if you keep asking me, is that done, is that ready? I say, look, leave me alone. I'm working on it. I'm very reliable. Just tell me once, and that is it. So don't manage me, because I get really, really angry. We're going to change them now. The C and the S, look at that. The C and the S are more introverted. And the green and the yellow, the red and the yellow are more extroverted, okay? Now, here we go to the full list. I need you to think. For example, let's see the red first. Does it come naturally to you? Do you think you are direct in how you speak? When you want to say something, you are direct.
Yes.
You don't beat about the bush.
Definitely.
So count one.
Yeah.
Count one in your mind, okay? Do you see the big picture and no detail? The big picture. You want to do something, you're dreaming of something, you know where you're going, the big picture. Some people prefer detail, some people are naturally seeing the big picture. It might not apply, don't count. If it applies, say, I have two. We're going to see how many here, how many. Are you impatient in that role that we spoke about? If you are impatient, then that makes you more likely to be a red. Are you driven? Reds, they don't need anyone to motivate them. Reds,
Motivate other people.
Yeah, reds are engines. In fact, their tempo is fast. That's why we don't agree. My tempo is slow. I like to say moderate, but reds call us slow.
Yeah.
Demanding, when they want something, they get it. Okay? So that's why they make better managers. They will make sure that you deliver. Even if it means that they have to phone you after work. You didn't leave it on my desk. Okay? So they are very demanding. And they are generally competitive. In fact, if I go to a red person's office, let me give you a story about Steve Jobs, who was a high red, and I'm not sure what the name was, the person who owned Pixar. Jobs bought Pixar. So Jobs is now the number one, and the guy who owns Pixar was the number two in the company, and this is the creative guy. He goes to Jobs to tell him what he's going to do with this idea. He said immediately Steve Jobs should sit down. Immediately.
Well,
So this guy goes to him with like a presentation, and this guy says, doesn't work.
bye.
Doesn't work. And he said, I told Jobs, I'll come back next week. Worked on it again, came back, and he gave him a new presentation. Jobs shut it down. Second time. Third time, presenting. And Jobs shut it down. And he said, but that's what I'm going to do. Fine. He said, that's why you are in charge.
Okay.
Do what you want. But Jobs is easy, very direct to say, no, I don't agree. It doesn't mean you're not going to do it. But the point is, they like to challenge you. They like to challenge you. So, my friend, his wife was a beautician, and she heard about, nowadays we've got these semi-permanent tattoos.
Yeah.
That back then it didn't exist. It was the first time she had heard about it, and she went very, very enthusiastic to her husband, and she said, you know what? She said, there is a system. I need to go, I'm not sure where. Let's say the UK. To the UK, I get my training, a machine, I come back, and I'm the only one in Malta. And her husband said, he was the GM of a foreign company, and he said, as if you're good at these things. He said, no, you're not going to manage. And he shut it down. And she accepted it. In my opinion, the fact that she accepted it makes him right.
Exactly.
He challenged her,
Boom.
and she accepted. If she were an entrepreneur, she would have told him where to take his objections.
Yeah.
Okay? But she accepted it. So reds challenge you. What about yellows?
Yeah, but can I
Yes, please.
they challenge you. But can I ask for a why?
Of course you can. Yes.
So if I haven't got an answer,
So
it's no good.
when they challenge you, generally,
They haven't got an example.
they would say, for example, it won't work. Can you say why
Why?
doesn't it work?
Give me an example.
He'll probably tell me why it will. You know what? He might. These people are very dominant. It doesn't make them right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them more powerful than you. It doesn't make them wiser, but it doesn't make them less either.
It's his nature.
It's just a different type. Now, because we are in different types, we tend to not agree. The red and the yellow are neighbors. The yellow, okay, so how many do you think you have from these? I mentioned direct, big picture, impatient. Do you see yourself there? Yes, no in your minds for now. Yellows are very different. Yellows are very social people. So we're talking again, extroverted and people persons. They're very social. Yellows are the heart of the party, the soul of the party, okay? No yellow, no party. The yellows are the people who are talking to everyone. In fact, they're very talkative, very optimistic, fun-loving. These people are generally enthusiastic, generally outdoors people, and very outgoing. They are not shy. They walk into a room, 100 people, they talk to 80 of them. Okay? They love communicating. They love the connection. Do you see yourself there? Okay? It could be that you see yourself here and here. Now you have to decide which is my number one, which is my number two. Generally, what we do, but we have to really rush, is tick these boxes. And Melrose, I'm not seeing the time, so
Yeah, sure.
are we?
Yes, it's 7:45.
Okay, very fast. Greens are introverted and people-oriented. So you see, introverted makes them reserved, but they still love people. Okay? Cooperative. The green doesn't want arguments. The green will look for a way for a solution. So, for example, I was telling my Rose before I came here today, this morning, a friend of mine and his partner in business, they had an issue, and this guy wanted me there to moderate, to lead a discussion between them. And I told myself before I went, I have nothing to lose. If they are not agreeing, if I leave there and they're still not agreeing, they're no worse. They're not going to kill themselves, they kill each other. I left there and they agreed. So this was where my green skills or traits, if you like, came in handy. So what did I do? I said, you know what, guys? You agree on 5 things. You're not agreeing on 1. So you agree on most, because greens they bring people together. Cooperation is important, even tempered. We are very calm. How many times did you chase me for the presentation? Mara, about 20. And I keep saying, I've got this. You know, if I have a problem, I will come to you. I am very calm. Just before we started, things were not working. And I said, no, let's calm down. Because when we calm down, we get it done. But Reds don't calm down. Reds want it done. I know it's going to get done. It's just going to take longer. Okay? Patient, nurturing. So most therapists tend to be, green. Tactful. Greens are careful about the words they choose. Direct. And from a green point of view, blunt. From the red point of view, they beat around the bush. They just don't say what they need to say. You see, we have different perspectives and accommodating. It's possible that I accept your conditions and not fight for mine. That's a weakness, okay? So, finally going on to blue. Blues are reserved. You will find them in accounts offices, in compliance departments, in insurances, in banks. Blues like to work alone. They are systematic, very, very, very organized, detail-oriented. Blues are detail-oriented. So a blue sends an email to a red, and the email is long. Yes, if the red's gonna read it. The red just says, let's meet. He replies, let's meet. Not even 3, let us meet. Shortens. Okay? Let's meet, too long. Or agreed, if it's a short, agreed. So basically, detail, direct. Okay? Not the same at all. They are both task-oriented, analytical. This person can come up with the right solution. This guy needs him, but doesn't like to be led by him. Okay? I had one guy looking for a course. He is a red, his assistant is a blue, and he said, but we work so well together. I said, yes. What if she were the boss? Oh no, he said, that I couldn't take, because then she would drive me crazy. She's too detailed. Okay? So as his assistant, she is perfect. She keeps him busy. She keeps him organized. They are cautious and they follow rules, and they make you follow rules. Blues follow rules. So, for example, I think all Germans would not jaywalk. They would stop at the lights until it turns like green for them to cross. But that's culture. In our culture, the chances are that we cross before it turns. But if you are a blue, you follow the rules. If you are a blue, you say, no, it's not like that.
Mela Malta ħadku.
Mux għanna għaxet tikber dil-ħabba. So,
Can I ask something?
yes, please.
Why is it that when you're looking at jobs, they always include this detail-orientated phrase?
So-
So those who are not detailed are not good for the jobs.
So, that shouldn't be right in some jobs. So, for example, if you are, for example, a delivery person, why detail-oriented? Okay? If you are in a data department, maybe. So I would, to answer you, they just say it because that's how they're used to. Yes. Because not every job requires the same traits.
Exactly.
So the person who is detail-oriented is slower than the person who is not detail-oriented. You cannot have precision and speed at the same time.
Exactly.
You're either
Either
very
one.
fast or very careful, or a bit of both. Balance is key. Okay? So, now, look what they're called. Our red is dominance. Our yellow is influence. Our green is stability, and our blue is compliance. So I like to give them other names as well, to be a bit fair. So dominance or direct, or determined, or driven. I is influence, yes, but they're also inclusive. They like to include everyone. And when they include everyone, it means that, so for example, if the I wants to have, how do you say, to organize, let's go out, and you are not joining, or a number of people, that's where they get really
Down.
yeah, they feel demotivated when that happens, okay? So, they are inclusive, they're very expressive as well, by the way. The yellows tend to use body language a lot. Okay. S, stability is also sensitive, so you have to be very careful. Now, I am a green, sometimes that's my drawback. We are too sensitive, okay? Why are we so sensitive? There are cultures, North Europe, who just say no. For us, what? Just no? Like, no flowery language? We are sensitive. Now, we have the culture, not helping us, but we also have the personality. Compliance is also comprehensive. Okay? They're very comprehensive. They do a job as it needs to be done. So, okay, quickly. If you are a D, you see the big picture and you hate detail. If you hate detail absolutely, you're probably a high D. You might not be a high red, but quick action, but they could be hasty. They could shoot from the hip. I leave shooting for the hip to Clint Eastwood. Okay? I am a green and part blue, so I aim a lot with a telescope because we are, so reds, they take a decision now. For a red, it's better to take a quick decision than the right one. They take the right decisions, but they are impatient. They can't wait 2 days for more information. So reds need the team that gives them the information, or they say, okay, leave it with me. I don't know. Competitive and decisive. Direct, your communication is very short, and their communication is very straightforward. They are demanding, they can be controlling, and to people like me, because I'm green, I find that they lack sensitivity. They could tell me something that is not tactful, okay? So that is the red. Now, again, sorry, very quickly, when you are dealing with a red, if you're not yourself a red, your body language, keep your distance, because they are dominant. And if I get too close to my boss, the boss will not like it, okay? The boss needs he might not be my boss, but he's a red. He needs his space. Don't get too close. Keep your distance. Your handshake, make sure it's strong. Direct eye contact, otherwise he will growl at you like a dog. If you're afraid of the dog, all of a sudden the dog gets bold. Do not be, show the red that you make eye contact. You respect them, but you make eye contact. Otherwise you're too timid. And lean forward when you speak to them. Although they tend to lean back because of the power. When you lean back, it shows power. Okay? Your tone of voice needs to be strong, clear, loud, confident, and direct. This is how so they would say, speak up, man. Don't mumble, okay? Speak up. Because they need to get it done. Right? These people are always moving from one place to another. They're always busy. So if you find them in the corridor, they're walking, you speak to them, they say, and they go in for a meeting. They're always on the move. So the words that they like, of course, in English, so everyone needs to do this in their own language. The words win, lead, results, now, new, and challenge. They love these words. These words ring music in their ear, okay? Their pace is fast, okay, and abrupt. And when, this is what to look out for, when they are looking at their watch, they're getting impatient, leave. You've lost their attention, okay? If they're leaning back in their chair, they're now disconnecting with you. And if they start disagreeing with you and challenging you, they want to stop the conversation. This is one of the reds. But he's not the only red. So I need to tell you who else is red, because this is important. It might not be fair just to see Donald. Now, because I am a green, I tend not to like Donald Trump much. But if I were a red, I would say, yeah, but look, his decisions are the ones, He is the one who is not afraid of that and that. He is the one who speaks it as it is. So let's not knock it. Who else is a red? UK's Got Talent, X Factor, Simon Cowell. Okay, Simon Cowell is like the cruel one. But then when he is kind to people, everyone goes like that, okay? Hillary Clinton, not Bill is a year. Hillary Clinton is the tough one. Reds are tough, okay? Russell Crowe is a red. Denzel Washington, Cher is a red. These have been analyzed, okay? There was Margaret Thatcher.
Obviously.
Gordon Ramsay, the chef. He's a red as well. Robert De Niro is a red. Michael Jordan, Elon Musk, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I find I don't like most of these people. I like Margaret Thatcher, but if I had to suffer her, then I wouldn't like her. Okay? So I like her from a distance. Now.
Yes, but these people know what they want.
Yes.
They have a vision.
Yes.
Direct vision, actually.
Right. And
They know what they want.
And do you admire that?
And they think what they want is right.
Yes. And you admire that?
Yes.
That's important in leadership.
It's important to know what you want.
Yes.
How could you be a leader without a vision?
Yes.
You are correct. That's why I'm asking you if you admire that.
How could you be a leader without having confidence in yourself of knowing what you want?
Yes. A leader
How
must
could I
have vision.
explain?
Yes. Now, the red will have the vision, but then he will hire the others to do it. Because he cannot, he's not good with detail.
But reds have a tendency, at the end of the day, of being arrogant. And that and me will go against each other.
Yes,
I don't like people who are arrogant.
yes, you probably agree then.
I am agree, yeah, that's right, I say.
Yes, and I agree that you are sort of not their type, but you appreciate their directness, their vision, their drive. We need that in leaders. It doesn't mean that Greens don't have it. It just means we are not as fast-paced, not as strong. Okay.
Once I was accused of knowing what I want.
No.
That's a
Why are you saying accused?
Accused.
I don't think
Compliment.
I'll use this.
Yeah, it was.
You took it as a negative?
Yes, it was told to someone else about me, not directly to me.
Well, if I have to
It
say,
was
for
kind
example,
of.
you know, she knows.
She knows what she wants.
I don't know
For me, that's
how bad it is.
That's a credit.
It's a credit. For me, it's a credit. For me, it's a credit.
Everyone thinks it's a credit.
For me, it's a credit.
Culturally isn't. So I'm from
Yes.
Zimbabwe, Africa.
Yes.
So for a woman to want what she wants and go for it, you
Uh-huh.
should know your place in the kitchen.
Okay.
I went to a convent and we were told that when you leave school, you either go to university or you get married and have 6 children. But I wanted more from life. Like, no, you're too big for your boots. So women shouldn't want for more. It's like stay in the kitchen. So I was seen as a rebel
Yes.
because I wanted more for my life because I'm a red, but
Then I don't need to ask you whether that part of culture was serving you or not serving
no,
you.
it wasn't.
It wasn't. And you went against culture because it wasn't you. It's very difficult to go against culture because you are molded like that. But good for you for doing it. And I think you agree that it was a compliment when someone says, you know what you want. Yes, some cultures don't want you to.
It is a compliment, yes, but then like you say, when they negate it and say that it's wrong, because it's not only men who would say this really needs, it's also
Yes.
women.
Yeah, of course.
So they
yeah.
also say like, yeah, but you should know your place and don't speak up in a meeting, your husband should be speaking up. So
So
that's a culture.
go to Sweden and use the phrase know your place, and you will be exiled. In Sweden, because I am old school and I would hold the door for you, a Swedish woman would say, what do you think you're doing? As if I made an indecent pass at her. Because I am, in her eyes, disrespecting her equality. No, I am respecting you. I want you to
But
go
that's
first.
manners.
For us, it's manners. For them, it's
But
not
then it depends
manners.
on the culture, no?
It's
It
culture.
depends on
Their
the
culture is
culture,
different.
yes.
So I have to be very
Depends on the
careful
culture.
because it's like me telling the Swedish female that I think she is weaker. No, sir. It's a different culture.
It is culture. I mean,
It is. So we have to be careful. We have to
plenty
be
of
careful.
cultures.
Yes.
yeah,
We have to respect culture. So
So Saudi Arabia,
here, the culture is different. So it was a compliment.
if you don't have your
Yeah.
Two bucks.
religion, yeah, you can be
now a lady could drive, because some years ago a lady couldn't drive.
Yeah.
A lady couldn't stay in the front seat.
Andexia.
Right? Okay, so we have to rush on this because we still have leadership, which we're going to shoot through. The actual, what we're saying is leadership, huh?
Perhaps we will continue another day. Because the subject is interesting.
It's very
It's
interesting.
very
Yes, it
interesting.
is.
Yes.
Yes, it's true.
Let me
And
tell,
rushing is not
let me tell on Mary Rose.
Yeah.
Call her out.
Another
Last
project.
time we did it, I think 2 years ago. Was it?
Yes, and
She
we did
said,
it.
next time, take the 5 sessions.
We had three-hour
In fact, I
sessions.
had 2 2-hour sessions.
And then we
plus
did an
one,
extra one.
And she gave it, and we still didn't.
We did 9 hours and we still did
Believe
not.
me,
It's
if
very
we,
interesting.
And it's from this session, one is getting to know himself,
But
where he stands.
we'll do it again, don't we?
And others. So, listen, what happens is here, everything that we're saying has a relation to how we communicate and how we lead. So we're not talking about leadership, we're talking basement here. So if I told you, you need to have charisma, we already spoke about how to make people feel good.
Yeah.
So when we now come to charisma, we don't need to explain it. I'm just going to say, make people feel good. Let me give you a quote.
Diplomacy.
Let me give you a quote that I came across. I looked for it because I thought I knew it, but I didn't have the right words. So let me jump to it quickly. So one quote this is about leadership. If I don't find it here, I'll have to tell you from memory, which I'm going to. Okay, so the guy said, yes, his name is Alexander Den Hayen. He is Dutch. This guy is a Dutch author, and he said, when I talk to managers, we're talking the upper two, I get the feeling they are important. When I talk to leaders, and everyone can do it, okay, I get the feeling I am important.
Yeah, exactly.
That is charisma. And when we talk about charisma, I'm gonna jump the gun. I'm going to show you this picture.
I love it.
Charisma. Charisma. Him and Ronald Reagan. Charisma. This is Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan. Charisma. Even if you disagree with them politically, they've got charisma. You could disagree with a guy or a woman, you meet them, and you leave the room loving them.
Exactly.
You can still continue to disagree with them, but they don't make you feel like you're nothing. They have charisma. So what we are saying here is, these people, by the way, have a lot of charisma, yellows. A lot. Yellows make you feel important.
Thank you.
The yellow is like
Yes,
a dog
I am.
wagging his tail, or like a cat, like giving you his head.
Because you need them. You need them on board.
You need all types.
Yeah, exactly.
You need all types.
Well,
A company
I don't think
or
I'm
a family.
good at it, but anyway.
But you know what? There's a place for everyone in every team. In every team. Okay?
I still say nobody can be just
Totally,
red or
totally.
just yellow.
Yes, because what we're saying
I
is,
think it's
take one road, of course not. So for example, my dominant is green, but I find that I am so blue. In fact, someone would have made this presentation in probably an afternoon. It took me 5 long days. But you know how many times I changed the colors? You know how many times I changed the words? This was already prepared, by the way. I didn't start it from the beginning. But I'm thinking to myself, I think this word doesn't give the effect. If I'm talking, I'm not reading most of it. So if someone is reading, but there, my blue shone. Now I hate being a blue. I hate the detail that I go through. But you know what? When I was in business, to be productive, I had to chop my blue and say, stop it, cut corners, we need to get this done. But what if there is no perfectionism in films? What if you're watching a film and there's someone like Ben-Hur wearing a wristwatch? What if Napoleon, we're going to have Napoleon soon, okay? Historians are saying Josephine was, I think, 6 years older. Why is the actor in his 46 and the actress 31? That's historical inaccuracy. Why didn't they see that? Because Hollywood always makes the man older. It's wrong. So someone like me would have picked it up instantly. But that's the part of me that I hate because it's not productive. But what if your job is not in being productive? What if your job is in being creative? So, there's a place for everything. There's even a place for anger. There's even a place for fighting. In life, nothing is always right or always wrong. These guys, although they are my neighbor, yellow, because they tend to cling, where is it? Clingy. So I have this student, he came once to Malta for a course at the institute. And since coming once, it was a diversity course, so there should have been a large group. He was the only one that week. It was a one-on-one.
All right.
I think he fell in love with me. He came to Malta twice already, and he insists his wife and him, my wife and I will go out. Now, I hardly go out with my friends, let alone with people who came to our house. So I've already done it twice. He already told me he's coming back in July. He books me ahead. He loves company. I am the opposite. I prefer to be alone. I prefer like to correspond with him on WhatsApp. That's it. I don't need to go to too much detail. But he loves company, so I have to accommodate because they're not agreeing. So they need personal connection. These people, you think of someone, if you're not a yellow, think of someone you know who needs personal connection. They're almost always happy. They're almost always organizing and in the middle of groups, okay? They hate lack of support. So if they organize something and you don't turn up, then, or you don't approve of what they've done, you tell them that they're a bit too much, then they speak to everyone. They are good communicators, they are persuasive, and they have high energy. These people, like they joke a lot, they're very humorous, okay? There are people who are like this. They tire me out. When they're like that, I get tired. I get tired.
Yellow.
You know of a person who's like that? So does this describe her? Okay, like for example, outgoing, the heart of the party, and loves activities, sometimes, often, to organize the activities. If we have a yellow and we're going to organize a party, let the yellow organize it. But let the blue check the expenses. Because otherwise they will drive you okay. They're optimistic, so if they are not optimistic, it means they're under the weather. If they are not optimistic, it means something's wrong. They're not normally not optimistic. They're friendly and they use a lot of gestures. Now, can be hasty, clingy, and excitable. I put the negatives at the bottom. Who are our yellows? So, let's go to who are our yellows. So, very quickly, okay, very quickly. Get close to them. They like to be very close, the opposite of the reds.
So what was it you were reading earlier on? Before this?
For this one,
The reds.
The reds.
no, but this is the yellow now. The reds are the one.
The
Okay.
That's the yellows.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
yes. But the reds don't get too close to them
No, the red,
because they will think, "Are you challenging my dominance?"
My area.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And the yellows, no, the yellows. I hope this isn't taken in the wrong way, but there was this guy who was, when I changed companies, he changed companies with me. We're good friends, except that his body language is too close. He's shorter than me, and he comes too close.
He comes to your
I can feel the vibration when he speaks on my face.
Okay.
And I don't like it. I move back and he moves forward. I move back and he like the door and he keeps moving forward. And he likes the distance to be this much. For me, that's too
close.
When I'm breathing, I have to keep my chest in. Okay, so, and one day I thought, I will make this guy stop without telling him. He came to speak to me. I opened my mouth, put my tongue out, and I went for his mouth. And he went back and he was a Canadian. He said,
How are you doing?
What the F, huh? Like, everything down. And I told him, oh, I thought you came to kiss me. He said, I told him, the next time, listen to now, these are words creating stories, creating images. Next time you come this close, my tongue in your throat. He said, okay, and stopped doing it. Okay? Because he liked the distance to be short. I don't like it to be that short.
That much.
No, I like it to be, for me, a good distance is here.
Yeah.
Okay? This is threatening. This is threatening. You're probably going to get. Okay, so friendly eye contact, relaxed, humor, that's what they like. Because they are happy people and they like to make people happy. Okay? Enthusiastic voice when you speak to them, okay? High and low modulation, so vary your voice. Be excited and then go slow and then high and so, okay? Friendly and energized. What words do they like? Fun, feel, social, or sociable. Something that makes them look good and exciting. They like words like this, okay? So let me give you one of my favorite sayings. When I say favorite, it's because I came up with it. I cannot open your lock using my key. In order to open your lock, I need whose key?
Yours.
My key. So I need to understand what makes you tick, what drives you. I need to understand the kind of words I say to these people, the kind of voice I use with these people. So the minute I see this person, today, when I was in this meeting this morning, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is such a blue and green, but mostly blue. I could speak to this person in blue language. So if he were Cantonese, I would have spoken Cantonese if I knew how. But Cantonese I can't, but blue language I can speak. I told the guy, look, I am like you. A lot of me is like you. You are avoiding risk. I understand. So we build rapport. This is communication in action, right? So, fast-paced. Speak fast, because these people are very energetic, okay? And negatives now. The negatives. If they are negative, if they're being pessimistic or negative, just stop the conversation. They're not feeling. Okay? If they're skeptical, if they are like opposing everything that you say, questioning everything that you say, because normally these people are very, very accommodating as well. Okay? And looking around, it's like they're looking for a way out. Generally, I would be the one looking around to find an excuse for some privacy. Now,
So could someone be between green and yellow?
Definitely.
Yes.
not good.
Is.
Few people are
Completely.
high.
No,
Now, I will show you, the last screen here is, instead of 4, we divided them into 8. So you have the middle, so middle red is high red, and then you have red blue, and blue red,
I see.
and blue,
Because
and
When
blue
you were-
yellow, and
when
yellow
you-
blue.
when you were explaining, I thought, oh, I'm definitely agreeing.
But
Now
then you
you're
see,
explaining
exactly.
yellow,
I'm a bit.
If you
Yeah.
start ticking,
Sure.
if you start ticking them, you say, I tend to be more this way than this way.
Then this way.
But in what situation?
Exactly. That's what.
So you could be
the.
the joker, the clown with your
Yeah.
friends, but at work you're not. Imagine a clown who is a university professor. Probably at work he has to watch it because of the environment. So we tend to change our behavior, not our personality,
Yeah.
because this is a behavioral model. Yes, we call it a personality type, but behavior. So this is Mary Rose's friend. She loves him.
I love
By the way, there is another picture of him in leadership. He really is. This guy comes up with 2 very important quotes. One, he says, train your people enough that they can leave you. Treat them good enough,
To stay.
well enough that they
To
never
stay.
will. And the other quote is, your clients are not the most important. Your people are. Treat your people well, and your people will treat your clients well. They'll take care of your clients.
Honestly,
This
read
guy-
his biography.
He's done
You
well.
know that
This is Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Version of
Virgin.
Read his,
Virgin
and you will be
Communications
successful in
reports.
business because they
Now,
are
This guy is ADHD and dyslexic.
exactly.
In school, he would have been
Neglected.
an
Left in
ignorant
the
person.
corner.
He's not ignorant, he's just made to fit in an environment which is not good for him.
But he was told that he was stupid.
Ah,
It was
then he comes out
through
of
his
school, he
biography.
has
And
Dyslexia, HDAD. And
He's-
at school, he was told, it's in his biography, that he was stupid and he will never amount to
well, he
anything.
proved that. He
And
proved
look
them
at him
wrong.
today.
This is the point, okay? So, besides, we have Steve Martin, the comedian. Okay, Steve Martin. For
One with the
example,
white
so
hair.
If you saw Big Panther, he was almost a better Clouseau than Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers.
Really, really good. Steve Martin is par excellence. Muhammad Ali is a yellow. Have you ever seen videos of Muhammad Ali being interviewed, like by Parkinson? He jokes so much. This guy he's got charisma. Okay, he's a yellow. Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey, Will Smith, Dolly Parton. By the way, another one. We know Dolly Parton for different reasons, besides country music. She came up with a brilliant quote. One I like to use in coaching. It is getting very hot.
Yeah. قوي
So she said, storms make trees take deeper roots.
Ah,
Like Nietzsche, he said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Stronger.
Okay, so storms make you tougher.
She had a tough
I like
life.
quotes, fine.
So,
I love quotes.
however,
I studied quotes.
people who only get a thrill from the quote and do not put it into practice, so do your best to make those quotes.
That might have to be you. I mean,
Yes.
one quote. It is better to live one day like a lion than 100 days like a lamb.
And we have the quote by Alexander the Great, I am not afraid of 100 lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of 100 sheep led by a lion. Because the leader will set the culture. The leader will influence so much. So I mentioned before, 2 people I know, one of them, her daughter is diagnosed with cancer. I don't know her daughter, I could help the mother become strong. You know the proverb, actions speak louder than words, right?
Exactly.
What you do is much stronger than what you say. And because this woman really became strong, her whole family became strong. And they acknowledged it to her. They said, I don't know each one individually. I don't know what happened to you, but you really helped him because actions speak louder than words. President Bill Clinton is here. You could disagree with his politics, you could know bad things about him, but you have to love his charisma, okay? Liza Minnelli or Liza, Oprah Winfrey, Robin Williams, and Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. If you like Harry Potter, Ron is the ginger. Okay? Now, we come to the Greens. We'll finish personality today, and we have to, because we will be past. Okay, so Greens promotes harmony, doesn't like arguments. Okay, Greens promote harmony, hates arguments, and they are reserved. Doesn't mean hermits, just not energized by being in public or in large groups. Nurtures the team. So the Green is a little patriarch or matriarch. The Green is, I would call the Green mother hen, taking care of other people. Okay? And these people have a tendency to not know how to say no. Case in point. She hasn't realized it. These people don't know how to say no. I know it's short notice. Okay.
A people
But because I said it nicely,
Yes.
exactly. A people pleaser.
and because I'm persuasive.
No,
Try to please everybody, which is
It's not a nice thing. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think it was Steve Jobs who
All
said,
right, faithful.
if you want to make everyone happy, you have no business
He's
being a
supposed
leader.
to, you know.
Sell ice cream. If you want to make everyone happy, sell ice cream. Don't be a leader. If you want to make everyone happy, you can't always make everyone happy. So,
Never.
so if you're a Green, you know that that could be a weakness. Be careful not to be taken advantage of. You just knowing yourself, and if you need a favor and you know that your colleague is a Green, you can rest assured they will help you. It's in them. They have no control over it. Okay? Right. So nature has made them like that, maybe to serve others because people need help. So the Green would normally be a motivator and caring. The Green likes a step-by-step approach, pas in movies, okay? Step by step. Green person is calm and needs to be a little organized. Not as organized as the Blue. The Blue is like Sheldon Cooper in the Big Bang Theory. Very blue. Like everything needs to follow the rule. The Green, not as much, but the Green doesn't like to break rules either. Step by step, slower but steady pace. This is about steady. Hates disorganization and hates crises. Okay, the Green doesn't like it. So, myself being a Green, I would smell that a crisis will come. In fact, when it comes to decision making, I have 3 rules. If we have time, I will show them to you. They have a poster. And one of my rules, let me tell you, one of my rules is called the BASIC rule. BASIC. It's an acronym. BASIC. Be ahead, stay in control. If there is a small problem, do something about it now. Don't let it become a big problem. Okay, so in this case, I am avoiding a crisis. I'm not taking risks. If it's a small wave, I don't want a tsunami. Okay? I'm telling you the rules now quickly, because these are rules that are good for decision making. The second rule is rule 2 is the 2-minute rule. In 2 minutes time, you will forget. Take notes. I promise you, we have one maybe taking rules, taking notes. You will forget a lot of this, but I will do my best to see if we can send you some notes. Because I'm a people pleaser. Hopefully I can send you something not this week, maybe next, just to make you feel bad when I'm in Malta. I will cook something up for you, and not a lot of notes, but the important parts. Okay, so rule 3 is the panic button rule. Greens would do what I would do. Reds would shoot from the hip. The green would say, if you're overwhelmed, if you're panicking, if you're stressed, slow down. The red would start running, would start doing. We start looking around. Where is the door? Before I start running into the fire, okay? Because we are calmer. Okay? And yes, I make your blood boil.
Yes,
I know. This way, we'll get it done. When I panic, I freeze. I get nothing done. Okay, so rule 3 is when you're in overwhelm, if you go to buy property and the property agent says, oh, I'm not going to rush you, but just so you know, someone already placed an offer. You're not rushing me.
Of course.
So I would say, let them have it.
Yeah.
Let them have it. Okay? A lot of times it's bluff. It's
Yeah.
putting us in a situation to make us
Make a quick decision.
fear of missing out. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So calm, logical, relationship builder tends to avoid uncalculated risk. I did have a job where my boss fought with clients, and I went back to repair the he just
Situation.
called clients' names. He once, you won't believe this, he once challenged the client to fight. Let's go out and fight. I mean, we don't do
What's
that
the
anymore.
point?
That's the 60s and the Wild West. Okay? So then Steve would go on to play. So, quickly, body language, relaxed, methodical, lean back, please give me a bit of space, friendly eye contact, small gestures. Because too much gesturing in my face and I'm not comfortable. But I myself use, okay? So, tone of voice, warm, soft, steady, low volume. Don't shout because you lose me. The minute you start shouting, you lose me. For me, shouting equals
For sure, it's not
argument.
me.
Shouting equals argument. If you start shouting, it's like challenging. Okay? I'm no longer interested in what you have to say. Content, step by step, help me out. Don't tell me that, please. Guaranteed, not guarantees, but lower the risk for me. Promise and think about it, because greens are reflective people. Slow and logical pace, steady. Okay? So, asking you to repeat the information means that the green has not understood what you're saying. He is not in sync with you, and trying to gently end the meeting. My favorite first lady of the United States. I think she is just lovely with people. Okay, everybody loves this first lady. Also, David Beckham, if you're into sports, is a green. Princess Diana was a green. Try and visualize. Okay, so that's the sort of person. Mother Teresa is known to be a green. Character Charlie Brown of Snoopy is a green. Okay. Mahatma Gandhi, Jimmy Carter, Halle Berry, the actress. Okay. Halle Berry. Nicole Kidman, Martin Luther King. There's this guy, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. He was a presenter in the 60s in America. A nice, gentle person who people watched his shows because he made them feel good, even over television. Okay? And Barbara Bush. So, blues thrive on detail. They're very calculating and very reserved. Blues prefer to work alone. Ideally, not in a team. Ideally alone. The blue, because they know what they want, they are decided on it, they know the best way to do it, and they don't trust. So no one does it as good as they. So they tend to work alone. Yes, they can still be leaders, but because they don't like to work with people, the tendency is that they would prefer not to. Okay? So you might find these people, you might find them as programmers, for example, because they are very detail-oriented. You might find them, as I said, in insurance claims or insurance compliance.
What they have there to the detail.
They will pick.
Yeah, the spot.
You know those puzzles where you give me a block of letters and you say they're all the same.
Except one.
There are O's, but one is a C. It takes me half a second to tell you where it is. It just hits I don't know why. But I don't like to admit that I have a lot of blue. Hates risks because they adhere to rules and they're cautious. Okay, so these people don't go and ask them for a favor to bend the rules for you.
They won't.
They just won't. Okay, prefers to work alone. We said it, highly organized and methodical, precise, deliberate, formal, and they question everything. They need to know why. They won't just take your word for it. Okay? They can be indecisive and suspicious. So, body language, definitely keep your distance. They are not people. Okay, they keep your distance from them. Firm posture, they're very formal, these people. You have firm posture. Yes, direct eye contact, but no gestures. So, when you see who comes up as the typical blue, you will understand whom I am describing here. By the way, these posters, these 4 of the kind, I left the logo there, they are borrowed. They are not mine, they are borrowed. So, for the sake of decency, I left it. Their tone of voice is controlled, direct, and monotonous. They don't excite you. So when you speak to them, don't be excited or they will stop listening. Okay? Use their key, not your own. Use their key. Right? Little modulation, no high, low. Just
one pitch.
Yes. Okay. Word content. So this is very important. Here are the facts. These people don't care about your opinion. They care about the facts. Okay. No risk, proven analysis, and for sure these people love guarantees. Okay. So you are minimizing or removing the risk for them. Slow and methodical. Don't rush these people. They will just tell you no. They will not tell you a lot of words, as I might, being a green. They will just say no and probably close the door. They are not interested in explaining. Okay, I am going on the high blues here. I'm not saying
moderate or moderate.
This is the high. Okay, we're talking about the extreme.
The extremes.
So signals to look out for: evasiveness. If they are, it's not avoiding, it's evading. You ask them something and they reply something else. They're evading. Okay. Like tax avoiding is legal, tax evasion is not. It's going around it. Almost no verbal communication because already they are not speakers, but when they stop speaking, then the communication ends with people. Or they might ask you difficult questions. Here he comes. Difficult questions, so you stop talking. Mr. Spock. Okay? Mr. Spock is the ultimate blue, very logical. Bill Gates is a blue.
Yeah.
Okay. Jacqueline Kennedy was a blue. Kevin Costner. Niles, you know the Frasier comedy show, the American comedy show Frasier. Niles, his brother, is a detailed person. Clint Eastwood. If you know Seinfeld, George, the panicky guy, he panics a lot. He needs everything to be perfect. Okay, that's the small guy. Albert Einstein, and in Harry Potter we have Hermione, who was the bright person, okay, and the TV detective Columbo. He would listen to you and notice that something is not right in what you're saying. Okay? Now, interesting, in the elevator, these people are in a lift. Let's see how they react. How does the red react? The red goes straight into the elevator and presses the button, perhaps. So I was waiting by an elevator. I was waiting, and there was another person and me, and two people came, a woman and a man. And the woman, she went, we were already there, we had already pressed the button. She came to the elevator and pressed the button. Pressed the button about 4 times. And the elevator took time. Believe me, this happened. She came and she knocked on the elevator. I couldn't believe my eyes.
She thinks she's on her own.
And then, but knocking on an elevator, and her husband, who was very timid, turned to her and said, as if it's going to open for you. And it arrived, and it opened. So that made her believe even more that it worked. She got in the lift, immediately pressed. So I'm thinking, probably a red. Now, greens, we make their blood boil. We keep the elevator door open because this guy is coming. But when I'm alone and I hear people, I try to close it. But generally, we would wait for someone. Then we have the yellow. You know the yellow? The yellow that you know. Joseph, right? Joseph.
Some part of it.
So chats with people and might hold the door open to finish the conversation. Like if the door opened and she's in her or she's coming out, you know, like it was nice talking to you, holding the door open, and the red is saying enough already. That's it, keep going. Right. And then comes the prize, the blue. The blue looks inside the elevator. He knows 4 people are allowed. He knows 380 kilos. He calculates quickly. There are 3, not 4, but 1 has a bag. It's fine. It's fine. I'll take the next one. And he is calculating. Okay. The blue tends not to take risks. Here comes your bits and pieces. These ones in the middle are the high. High red drives for as a leader, the high red, the what's his name? Donald Trump is driving for results. No excuses, it needs to be done. No excuses. Do it now is his phrase, now. Okay? Let's go here. The part red, part blue, because there's a detail involved, managing performance. Still in charge, making sure people are doing it right and fast. Getting it done. It's important that it gets done. This guy is a high blue, doesn't care about productivity, problem solver. We all need these people in our companies. Okay? Do it correctly. These are the people who usually write the manual, how it needs to be done. Nobody follows the manual to a letter, but this person would, not normally. The green, blue, in betweens, is like monitoring quality. Why? Because he has a bit of procedure, but he also needs to make sure that people are not kind of trampled on. So do it carefully is the motto here. The high green is a people person, do it kindly. It could be counterproductive. If we are too green, the work might not get done. Okay, so we have to be a bit careful not to let natural tendencies, but very few people are high, Okay? Here, between green and yellow, we have the team leader. The team leader fostering cooperation, loves people, but at the same time, loves, he's a little reserved as well, or she, sorry. Inspirational in between, this is the high yellow. The high yellow is the person who makes everybody feel important, okay? As long as we are together. I think, Obama, I think, is a yellow, if I'm not mistaken, and we have slogans like, yes we can, and stuff like that, okay? The in-between red and yellow, extroverted motivator, okay? So, getting it started, okay? This is the person energizing us.
Meta nkunu
That's
training dik l-ewwel waħda li nitla' jien kellha ħadd ma jiċċaqlaq.
Exactly.
Ħadd ma jiċċaqlaq. Milli ara waħda tilqa' mbagħad l-oħrajn jiffollowjaw. Kif hu nibqgħu?
And now I have a blank screen.
Okay.
We still have stuff we didn't cover. There is no time.
But Dagmara said a few minutes, so they do the evaluation.
Okay. Okay.
It's incredible what I'd like to say. I mean, I ask the question
Yes.
nearly every day. What is a leader? Do you consider yourself as a leader? Every day I ask the question. Nobody comes up.
Mela.
So it is so important to educate.
Everybody
Mela.
can be a leader.
Nobody, I ask it every
Not
day.
everybody wants to
To about 6 people every day. What is a leader?
You know
What is the
You must
difference
know
between
that.
the leader
You must
and the
know every
manager?
day.
But first of all, they're
Nobody
different.
understands, like-
Leader and manager are different, so,
Yeah.
especially in a company. But not everyone wants to be the leader. And let me tell you, in case we don't have another opportunity. In nature, the lion, the alpha male, eats first. Now, he doesn't hunt. The lioness hunts. But he eats first. Why? He is the strongest. Yes, but he gets the best part of the meal. Why? Because when danger comes, he has to fight. No one else. He has to fight. He has to fight every intruder. The chances of dying are multiple times. So nature makes him eat first. He has to protect the mother. In fact, in the leadership part, I ask, are parents leaders? Of course parents are leaders. What do you love about leadership in parents? Parents take care of their, so even, not only babies, how old is your son?
30.
13.
30.
She still considers him part of, like, you know what, there's another thing with nature, now one of our modern philosophers who says, we protect our children. I was blown away by this. We protect our children because we love them, but we have no choice. Our programming, our human nature makes us want to die so they will live. Because nature doesn't care about you or me, it cares about itself. For life to continue, you need to sacrifice, if needs be, yourself. Life needs to continue. So of course we love our children. First of all, there are some exceptions, all right? So people who don't love their children. But it is in us to need to protect them, to throw myself on the baby so the bomb will kill me and protect the baby, because nature wants the baby to grow. Now, obviously, without another adult to help it grow, but SHIT happens.
Illogical.
Yeah. So this is the thing, that this is how our human nature controls what we do. And if you are of the opinion that we have free will, philosophers are always asking, do we have free will? Okay? We have a little free will.
Exactly.
If you buy a car, so who has a car?
Everyone knows it.
So, what car do you have?
Jena Toyota Passo.
Toyota Passo. Why did you choose that car?
Because it's the price was within my range. It's a small car and it's economical. Those are the three things that I looked at.
So, Why is small important for you?
Because in Malta, with the traffic the way it is, we don't find the parking.
This sounds logical. Do you suspect that although it sounds logical, you don't, even if there were a lot of parking, you might still go for a smallish car?
Yes, because for me, a car is not a status symbol. A car takes me from A to B, and that's it. I don't care.
So I understand you, I am like you. For me, a car equals convenience.
Exactly.
And now we are touching on values. So values is what is important. My car is important. I don't even like my car. I don't like the car because it's an Igo. It's
Exactly.
not a Jaguar. If it were a Jaguar, I would still hate it.
I don't care.
I would still not wash it. I wash my car
Like you.
because it's for convenience. Now, my need for convenience, my value, decided what kind of car I get. Economical, because I don't want to have to spend so much money on fuel when I can avoid it and because of the environment. But what color is your car?
Silver.
Why?
Because it's neutral, I mean,
It's
I don't
neutral.
even
You
bother
see,
with the color.
This is the point.
It doesn't bother me.
This is not important. So a lot of our decisions are based on our values, what is important and what is not. We don't even realize. We think that, for example, my brother-in-law would go to all the dealers in the land, check all the prices, and if someone mentions a new dealer, he would stop and go and check his before buying the car. I think there are 2.5 people like him in the whole world. Okay? Otherwise, we would normally get the information that we can. This is about decision making. You will never have all the information. So get as much as you possibly can. Decide on facts as much as you can, but know this. A lot of your decision, whether you like it or not, is gut feeling. A gut feeling is your subconscious talking to you. If you have experience in something, trust your gut feeling. If you have zero experience, do not trust your gut feeling. I don't go to a carpenter to get advice on electronics. I go to a person who knows.
Dejja jaqbatu għandu.
Yes, to people who know. And your subconscious is collecting information. That's why you can decide very quickly without thinking about it.
Mux muffi. Il-bet naħseb din miex taħdem.
Minħaj.
Film switch.
Naħseb we need to wrap up.
Yes, that's on
I hope you found it useful.
Thank you very much.
Can
It was
you-
very interesting.
Can you stop sharing, Steve? So Dagmara, can you go in?
Issa.
No, I'm sure. It flips them.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Dagmara.
Hi.
Sharing.
Before we wrap up, I will share 2 things for you to do. The first one will be the evaluation form, which is extremely important for us for the final assessment of the boot camps. And then you will receive your certificate. But for you to receive your certificate, you must take a very short quiz about the things that you just learned in this session. So let me share my screen. Rose, can you tell me?
Yes. No, not. Give me 1 second.
Can you see the screen?
No, because I'm not connected yet. Okay.
Yep, all right.
Yes.
Yes, we can see Tamara.
Okay.
Great.
So I will give you 3 minutes to scan the QR code and please fill out the evaluation form.
All you need to do is go on a QR scanner.
You can also use your camera in phone because it also works.
You see? And that's you don't have a QR scanner, I don't know if it's, or with a camera. You don't have? Just a minute.
Kelli suq ieħor. Imma dan mill-kamera.
In the camera.
Maybe it works. Does it work?
Yes, it works. I did it. Okay. Tista' tagħmilhom fuq di ta' Gledi Sara.
Give me a sec.
Just answer.
Just tick.
Do I put this on my camera?
Le, ma jkunx.
Miriam, do I?
Le. Ħallurek u xek.
Okay, we already have 4 responses, so I'm just waiting another 2 minutes, and then we'll get to the certificates.
With the camera, we cannot do it. But jekk trid, tista' tagħmilha fuq tiegħek, fuq il-mobile tiegħek. Ara dan hu l-questionnaire.
Thank you. Issa da rridu nagħmlu qabel.
Ija, it's just erba' ta' kemm tittikja. But I hope you found it interesting. We have a lot of these sessions. Now we moved the other sessions for January and February. We would prefer you to come here because we would like to continue the discussions, especially because robotics and AR are a bit technical subjects. It would be nicer like to meet here again. I will send you the dates. I think we already.
Yes, I already changed the slide because it's getting later and later, and I know that in Cyprus and in Greece they already have almost 10 p.m. Anyway, here you have the QR code for the e-learning platform that we created for the purposes of this bootcamp, and you just have to register. And once you register, you'll find the link to the quiz, which will once you pass, you will receive the certificate. So Mary Rose, can you make sure that for the Maltese participants it's working? And I don't know, what about the others? Can you tell me whether it is working?
For us, it's working.
I can't, my phone.
You have a QR scanner? No. So if they don't have a QR scanner, what should they do?
I mean, you can just send them an email.
I will send you the link.
I
I will send you a link to fill it up, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And if you don't have a QR scanner, you should come to the next sessions because they are the technical.
But this is quite interesting.
Here you are. Look, you can do it here on my phone.
It's quite interesting because for iPhones it's working perfectly fine, and I can scan the QR code with my phone.
It's anonymous.
It's anonymous.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for stepping in at the last minute. Thank you for saving me once again.
Is it possible to know the gentleman?
Yes, of course. Steve is Steve Farrugia. He is a life coach. Maybe you should life coach. He maybe you saw him on TV because he used to be on TV.
Din il-password tal-account tal-Google u rridna minn tiegħek tal-Gmail.
Excuse me, Akmara.
Log in as a guest.
Akmara, excuse us.
Yes.
We have to make the registration for the certification now, or we can do it later.
I mean, if you make sure they will register and take the quiz so they can get the certificate, you can do it later. But we have to be sure they actually get the certificate.
افتح البيت.
أنا ما ريت نعمل dik il-ċertifikat.
مش انا
Issa tidħol fil-link. Issa I will send the links on
Biex napplikaw
link biex tidħol
għal
fil-course, and then do I receive this? But you have to answer some questions. Tomorrow I will send you an email with a link, and you can do it on a laptop.
Għax issejjejt.
Okay, so I think we can close now. Thank you everyone for joining. For the Maltese people, for the local ones, I will send an email with the links. Okay?
What makes you a leader?
See you everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.